What's up, locals? It's Mike and Kenzie coming to you live from the 775. Now, before we get into this episode, we have one small request. Please be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen. Now, let's get into it.
Welcome, Kaitlyn Miller, to your favorite locals podcast. We are super excited to talk to you. I want to give our listeners a little bit of background on how we got connected to you. Mm-hmm. So you are...
You told me my boobs were glorious. And I was like, yes, they are. I should be there.
Yes.
Doesn't take much, clearly.
Totally. Well, you are a family law and divorce lawyer here in Reno. We had noticed that there are a lot of lawyer billboards in Reno. And so it just got us thinking we wanted to kind of create a little bit of a segment about it on a previous episode. And we had seen yours specifically in downtown. We made some commentary on it, posted it on social media, and it got connected to you, where we were able to schedule this and have a conversation to get to know you a little bit more and see the impact that you're making in Reno.
Yeah.
So with that being said, do you mind giving our listeners just a little bit more background to who you are, what you do?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I love talking about myself. So, and I mean, you guys already set me up for a really good spot. Even with the condescending version, you still called me young and hot, and I make injured people horny. So what more do I really need to say about myself, right? I mean, that about sums it up. I have a family law practice, a single, sole practitioner. My building's downtown Reno. So basically I do kind of, I guess you would call it middle of the road, the average. You know, I don't seek out the high-end big money. Mm-hmm. So kind of the normal man, woman kind of person who's looking for a family law. So I do custody, divorce, child support, restraining orders, that kind of thing. And then I also have a contract out in Churchill County where I rep all the children in the child abuse and neglect docket. So
wow,
that's heavy.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah. So keeps you busy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which,
no, that
good, bad. I don't know. Busy in the child abuse world isn't a good thing, but but the rest of it,
yeah,
it's good for. It's good. Divorce
totally.
Business is booming.
Business is booming.
Yeah.
You can get married here fast. And you can get divorced here fast. So it's good.
Yeah, and that's actually what we wanted to touch on too with the divorce part, is that Nevada is obviously known for getting divorced fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to just kind of dive a little bit deeper into the Reno community, what is going on with marriages here. Is the divorce rate high, compared to other states? Because as I was doing some research, it seemed like Nevada is almost the highest.
Number one.
I know.
Yeah.
Gotta be good at something, especially up in the north. Vegas has, its strip clubs and things like that, and good big casinos, but we can get you divorced fast. So it works out really good. I think that we are higher because you only have to live here for 6 weeks for residency. Mm-hmm. So you could really literally move here, live here 6 weeks, and then get a divorce. Whereas if you're in California or something, or most other states, they have 6 months, or there's waiting periods to make sure you're really sure that you hate the person, and we don't have that. So
right.
we're 6 weeks, we know you hate them, just move on. So
let's get it done with.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
wow.
I wanted to ask you, what just attracted you to law in the first place? What made you choose Reno of all places as well?
Totally.
Yeah.
I like money.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No,
right
we're
all sorry. Realistically, I think I'm probably good at two things. I'm a really good waitress, super good. And then I couldn't figure out anything better to do. So I went to law school, and I guess I'm pretty good at that. I guess I don't know. Get the job done.
Yeah.
So Reno in particular, I got lucky because I went to law school in San Francisco, and there was a externship to graduate early that through the judicial externship, like with the judges. And so I was able to finish my last year of law school doing a judicial externship at the family court. And so that then led with that judge to another judge, because this is definitely, especially when I got here, maybe a little less now, but definitely like the old boys club. So once you got in with one, it definitely snowballed really good for me got me to a clerkship with one of the judges in Carson City, which then opened up tons of doors. So I went to like the attorney general's office, did some right when the market crashed. So of course, like nobody was getting hired. So I got a job doing creditors' rights. So I was like taking all your shit. So it was good. Like I'd take your house, I'd take your car, you know, whatever that you didn't pay on. And people get really pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they get more pissed, honestly, when you take their shit over their kids. Like that's,
Really?
oh yeah. They really don't like when you take their Honda Civic. Like,
Are you serious?
they're like, I think the biggest time, probably legit, where I thought this could be like the day I die. Like I can see the newspaper article.
No.
People read newspapers anymore. That's how old I am. I'm like, I could see it coming in on the freaking little machine. This dude came in because I was working for, I think I was repping like Honda, and he came in under the ruse of a paralegal. And so my staff let him in, and he had like a trench coat, which like, why worry about that? Maybe because I'm from the 90s and Columbine, like still in my brain. Like you come in a trench coat, you probably will get shot, but you know, the chick was too young, so she didn't know.
Come on through.
Like,
Yeah.
no problem. So, you know, you were looking for a paralegal job. I didn't know we were hiring, but come on in. So brings them into my office. And when you're representing creditors, like you don't actually really deal with people because it's like banks, you know? And so dude came in, sat down, and he was like, do you know who I am? And I'm really bad with names. Like, I'm lucky if I know like my staff's name. Like, I'm really bad. And so I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but clearly I'm supposed to, you know. So I'm like, yeah, hi, it's yes, of course. And he's like, you're taking my Honda.
Oh,
and I'm
shit.
like, oh,
Probably.
okay, yeah, well, sounds about right, you know. And so he's like, I just really wanted you to know who I am as a person. And I'm like, all right, cool. And he's like, I brought you this. And so he opens up his fucking trench coat, and dude has a stick. And I'm not talking like a small stick. I'm talking like a goddamn branch. Like I kept
Like a tree branch?
Like a tree branch, which I'm pretty sure he probably ripped off the tree like out in front of my
Yeah.
building, you know? But like, and I mean, it was a big ass branch. I kept it for a long time to remind myself like, your life is like in the hands
It's at risk,
of this
yeah.
fucking tree branch,
so
you know?
creepy.
So he hands me this giant stick or branch, and he's like, do you know what this is? And I'm like, I'm
Piece of wood?
not really sure at this point.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is an olive branch. And I'm like, okay. So he hands me this fucking stick from the tree out front. We don't have olives here, but I mean, whatever. It was a nice gesture. And so he hands me this thing, and he's like, so what's going to happen to her? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, if you take her, like, where is she going to go? The Honda. And
I know. I'm like, are we talking about a little girl, or are we talking about
we're talking about
the
a
Honda?
And
Okay.
I'm like, fuck, I'm going to get killed over like a 1997 Honda. Like,
Right.
that is not my death car to get murdered over.
No.
Like, fucking
No.
put me over like at least a Porsche. Like, let's
Right.
bump it up the game.
Yeah.
A little
Make it
bit,
nice
right?
at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like something, right? Like, goddamn, my whole career has come down to a goddamn 97 Honda. And so he is like, he literally was like, what's going to happen to her? And I'm like, well, you know, they'll take her, and then she'll probably, since that's the pronoun, now that fucking pronouns are a thing, everyone, it would have worked better now. Like
Right.
back then it was like he and she. And so this was a very clear female Honda. And the Honda he's like, so what's going to happen to her? And I'm like, well, you know, she'll like go back to the Honda dealership and be with her other, I swear, I literally was like, she's going to be with her other Honda friends.
Right.
Obviously. And how will I know she's safe? And I was like, well, I mean, it's like fenced. So, you know, she'll be in there with the other Hondas and it'll be fenced. And he's like, well, how will I know where she ends up? And I'm like, you know, it didn't occur to me now. It occurs to me. I'm like, I guess you couldn't follow the tow truck because your car was on the tow truck. I didn't think that part through. But I was like, you could like follow the tow truck, see where she goes, make sure she's good. And, you know, and he's like, you know, you've really made me feel a lot better about this. And all I'm thinking is, thank fucking God.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is like a creepy dude.
Yeah, you don't bring a branch into a business and then sit down and threaten
It was
somebody.
an olive branch.
And it's not even your.
Appreciate the branch.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was, and then he actually showed up at my office. So then I switched to family law, like in 2013, I opened up my own practice. And I'm like, if there's any questions, you're probably never going to get to them because I don't shut the fuck up.
No, this is just to
bill
keep
by
me
the
on
hour.
track.
Yes,
so
yes.
I just keep talking and it's
Love
like,
it.
ching, ching, you know, so it's not our fault. But he showed up, swear to God, and like 5 years ago. So I've been doing family law for a good like 5 years.
Yeah.
And if not more at that point. And my staff was really nervous, but of course they too, being fucking geniuses, let him back there too, because you know, nobody goes with their instinct. And so he was like pacing around. I couldn't figure it out. And he started talking about like death. And he's like, you know, I do estate planning. And he hands me this pamphlet. And so I'm like, is he like trying to sell me something? Because, you know, we get sold like a lot of, you know, like come do Google ads or, you know, crap like that or whatever. And so I'm like, I was trying to figure it out. Like, is he trying to sell me something? Or maybe he wants me to like use him as a paralegal. I don't know.
It's the worst job interview ever. If
Yeah,
that's
it was
the
a really
case.
bizarre one. And I didn't know we were on a job interview, but I'm like going with it because clearly I'm supposed to know. And so he's like, my business partner died. And like, here's my pamphlet for like estate planning. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't do that area of law. And I'm like, but that's great. Like if I see, you know, anybody who needs something, I'll send you it. And he's like, and it was just really awkward. And so eventually he leaves, but he wouldn't have gotten on my calendar because like I do like back-to-back consults like every 30 minutes. So I'm like one of the only attorneys who does free consults in town. So they're like stacked. Like I'm booked out for consults. I do like 9 a day or something, 6 to 9 consults a day if I don't have
Wow.
to work. Like
That's
every
exhausting.
30 minutes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like boom, boom, boom. And so he like, we talked, he gives me this freaking pamphlet. I take it. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. This is fun, you know, whatever. Yay. I'll totally call. We are totally going to call you, you know?
Right.
And so he leaves and my staff is like, are you okay? And I'm all, yeah, why? And they were like, I don't know. He was like really weird and he wouldn't sit down. He was also still in a black trench coat. And it hadn't clicked yet. And I was like, what's his name? And they were like, so-and-so. And literally, dude, like my nose just like starts gushing blood. I think like my blood pressure like shot through the roof.
That's where the snap
And
was.
I was like, pull up the bankruptcy like website because you can check online for like in different courts you can check online for like your cases and stuff.
Yeah.
And literally like 3 days before his house had gotten foreclosed on. And I was like, fucker was coming to kill me. Like there's no question. Like he thought I took his house because I took his Honda.
Right.
That's why he was there. And when he realized like, so somebody had called in as like a ruse being like, he has a custody issue. So he got on my calendar as like a custody case. And then the cops and there's like this report and like the address on the pamphlet doesn't exist and this whole thing. And I'm like,
Elaborate.
yeah, it was really elaborate.
planned this out.
He ran the shit out of it.
Except
And I
for
was
like the branch part.
I'm
It's a
like,
little creepy.
right. I know. I'm like, where's my present? Like, if you're going to come and kill me, I want a present first.
Right.
Like any real chick.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, you gotta wine and dine me before.
I know, before you murder me,
Yeah.
you know? Like, not a bottle of wine first.
Right.
Like, you just go straight for the kill. Like, we like to be romanced a little before.
Oh yeah.
So
No, No, totally.
So that was super weird.
That is very crazy. And I can understand why you're not on social media because of that. And like, don't share anything about personal family life or anything along those lines. It doesn't make sense. Like, especially in the job that you're in.
Yeah.
And this climate, it's an attack vector.
Yeah, exactly. Which, I mean, there's a lot of funniness to it. Like we get calls. Well, I think it's funny. Like normal chicks probably wouldn't. Like random ones of like drunk on a Saturday night. We just heard one the other night of like, I'm looking at your billboard and I think it's funny with your boobs. Everybody loves my tits. Like I've finally.
It's a great billboard.
Finally paid off.
Right.
You know, I knew they were a good investment. And so he's like right next to the Jesus, like the one on Carl's Jr., like by the Carl's Jr. on Virginia is like a big ass one. So my tits are like huge on that. Oh. Fantastic. But the circles back as there's like the like Jesus loves you. And so it's like a God one. So it goes from like me.
That's a fun dichotomy.
God. It's fantastic. Yeah, I love it. And so he was like all like
just
Jesus
drunk,
and hot dog is nice and I hope you have fun in your boobs. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we saved that message. And so we try to like, you know, save the really good, good ones. But I like when they call me drunk. I think it's fun. The women are better because they're really mad drunks. Like the dudes are kind of much more complimentary, you know?
I would imagine.
Yeah, the women are really angry. And so I got a call from a woman and she's like, how? It was like 8 a.m. I'm like, bitch, you didn't like, I mean, I started drinking at 8 a.m., but you put it with juice. Like, then it's okay. I'm pretty sure you went straight vodka. Like, this is, you're too drunk at this
That's how
hour.
you keep the shakes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to like keep the shakes off, but like not cross the line by 8 a.m. Like, you wait till like 11 for that shit. You know? You got to have standards. And so she called and she's like, how do you sleep at night? In the middle of it, and her husband had retained me, and it was really cheap divorce. Honestly, it was not that expensive in the scheme of defense, like divorces. How do you sleep at night? And I'm like, in a bed of all your husband's money, man.
Yeah, I roll around in it. It tucks me in.
I'm like, it's like, I mean, it's not a comfortable bed because it wasn't that much money, but it's not, it's not bad. And she's like, fucking, like, she was really not impressed with me, but I thought I was funny. So yeah, so it's good. That's where you just got to keep like personal world out. Like,
oh, 100%.
But we don't have it. The interesting thing is like, you know, like Judge Weller got shot, like, you know, attorneys, you'll see it on the news here and there, especially family law. Like family law is more dangerous, they say statistically in a profession of attorneys than from like a murder standpoint or whatever than other areas, which you think like criminal defense or something like that. Except those guys are smart because they're like, no, I need you so I don't go to prison.
I'm going to go to prison for life if
I'm not killing this guy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he, like we get all that kind of thing. But with cops, they can have their addresses sealed online and stuff like that. So you can't pull it up on like, you know, anything. We don't have that. So
that's creepy.
There's no protection for you guys.
None. And so it's kind of interesting, not like we're the pillar of fucking anything, but people do get kind of pissed at us. And so it's really kind of strange that like, yeah, we can't like put in that application or anything like that to be like, so they're like, cool, show on up. So I went with protection dogs and bear mace and
in a 44.
In a 44, which
electrical fence
to like self-harm or harm of others, that not in the right way, but definitely not to the guy who's coming to kill me. I'm like better off with like a dog. So
oh, totally. Yeah. What kind of dogs do you have?
Belgian Malinois.
Little meat rockets.
Wow.
Yeah. So they were like out of the lady out of New Mexico.
Okay.
You had to go to New Mexico, go on like the like jump on cars and all this shit, and they just speak Czech because if you yell at them in English, then that doesn't work. So they're all trained in like Czech or German or other languages. So my two speak Czech. And
that's badass.
Yeah, and so I mean they're getting kind of pussyish now. Let's be real. Like they've been, you know, dressed up.
You say that until something happens, and then they rip someone's arm off.
I freaking hope so.
Wait, did you have to start speaking Czech in order to?
Just all the commands. So yeah,
just all the commands.
All their commands are in Czech. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so I mean, they know fuck off in English quite well.
They understand that one
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
well.
They know it perfectly, but that's like their only English term, you know? But like, yeah. So,
Wow.
so you jump on cars, you do this whole bit. So they're trained to, like attack and search the house and things like that. Yeah.
my
So I used to
gosh.
bring them to my office. And then I stopped really doing like in-person stuff because I try to stay away from people.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, those are really, really high energy dogs. How do you exercise them and keep them from
Well,
like,
from
going
their
crazy?
brain standpoint, that their job, so they would like tower up. It used to look really badass. It was total, what was that movie with John Wick, like part 2, where there was like all it kind of looked badass like that. So they have towers, like one on each side of my desk. And so I used to bring them both and they tower up. And so you would come in when I was doing in-person consultations.
Jesus Christ.
And they don't move. So you almost don't even.
They're like statues, like
they're
little statues.
and they're just laying there up
That's
on
imposing.
these towers.
I
Yeah,
like that.
So yeah, it was badass looking, dude. Like if no other reason, even they didn't do shit, like it would have looked. Really
Oh yeah, it's intimidating too.
totally. So you would just tell them to tower up, but them being on the tower was like their brain working. You know, like what's going on? How's my energy? Like that kind of thing. So and they're older now, but yeah, they needed the exercise, but also the it's like the brain,
Like the mental stimulation.
mental
of it. I
stimulation.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
So I wanted to ask you, let's talk about the billboard a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Was that planned out marketing wise? Was that intentional?
So my last billboard, to be hot as fuck.
Yeah.
That shit's natural.
Well, there's a shitty billboard behind you. There's like
I
2
was just
PUDs
like, oh,
behind you.
and they were like, and this just came out glorious.
Yeah.
No, so I had an old billboard that was up for quite a couple years, and then a friend of mine who's an attorney in town, and he had a good photographer, and they kind of stepped up. Like they had really cute, like nice pictures on their website and stuff like that, and we kind of hook each other up if we give each other a solid in like the legal world in certain ways, right? And so he was like, I'm going to hook you up as a favor with my photographer. And so met up with dude, and I had like 2 or 3 outfit changes. Let me check, you know. And then and so we stuck with that one. And then he was like, let's go, let's try. We did some in my office, which are on like my business's Facebook page or whatever the hell I have. And then we went to the stairs for the courthouse, you know, but we didn't want to do like what you see, like just like a big head, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, just the standard
Just like a
profile.
big ass. Yeah. No, what I really wanted to do, what I wanted like a cheetah, like or a black jaguar.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, like merging maybe like into my head.
Oh my gosh, that is
It's like
so funny.
that was my fucking vision, and nobody seemed into it, and I'm like, I don't understand because this is like gonna be glorious. You know, like when you have like the perfume commercial with like, and they're walking like the
They've
big
got the
Yes.
big
big
cat.
cat,
on it.
yeah. Except I wanted to like morph into it. And my marketing people didn't think it was a good idea. So
They're like,
That
we don't get
is-
the vision as
they
much.
were not seeing the cougar. Now you're a cougar. You know,
Right.
Goes.
Other
I have been
implications.
waiting. So my other billboard, it was just kind of like head profile thing, and
You got the realtor pose.
I didn't do that,
Okay.
but it was like just very like plain, and I was like really hoping someone would draw like a big dick, like you know, just
They're
like
too high off the
person-
ground.
It was.
Yeah.
That was like the problem because that seemed like a really good like, but you know, like on the billboard. But so we changed it up. So we go to the thing, and he's like, the courthouse like looks really pretty on the old one, and then I'm fucking around with my old paralegal. And I do think I literally was like just grabbing the pole, and I'm like, oh, nah. And
Yeah.
he's like, actually, like, do something like put your arm here, do something like this.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was probably like humping the fucking giant pole in front of my house or something like
That seems-
completely
that
immature
seems accurate.
and, you know, like, you know, standard. And he was like, actually, that looks really good. So then it turned into that one.
So the reason I ask is because there's a billboard behind yours that it's like 2 PUDs, just old thumbs that are couple different lawyers that aren't as
Which one are we
engaging with
talking
that.
about?
So on Virginia
I have
and
like 12
California,
or something.
I think it's Virginia and California over by ITS Logistics, like our mini finance
Are you
district.
talking about Joey Gilbert's? Like,
No.
Okay, so Virginia.
So if you're going down, help me out here. I'm terrible with directions. There's ITS Logistics. It's on the cusp of downtown and midtown.
do you know where Royce is? Royce in
Yes.
downtown where your billboard is.
Are we talking about the one by the Thai place? No, that one's on.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
Thai place.
Yes,
right?
by the Thai
Across from
place.
There's like Sushi Peter,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
7
Yep.
or whatever. And then there's the Thai place.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what's on the back of that one.
So they get like half the traction that you do when it comes to visibility.
Yeah.
And I think there's a huge marketing ploy there. I love it. I
Yeah.
see it. Even if it wasn't intentional, you see those two dudes and then yourself. And it's
Yeah.
like, I know
No.
who I'm going to call.
Actually, is it a attorney one?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was like 2 attorneys. I thought Joey Gilbert was one.
I think
and
that might be
then-
on the other side.
Oh, so
Yeah.
yeah. So actually, what my Billboard guy said was that he gets more calls for the ones that I'm on than like his other ones because he has like a shit ton of them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm like, well, that's sweet. Like, you know, because I guess it draws attention, which is the plan, right?
Totally.
But I think it came out better than I would have hoped because it does get that attention. Like the one, like when you're on the freeway, you know? And so if you're going by the GSR heading from your guys' side towards South Reno, on the left-hand side on the GSR, there's a big ass one on that one.
Of you? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is that the one that rotates and changes? Okay.
It
Yeah.
rotates into like 3 different things.
Yeah.
And so that one has like a big, like people want to be on that one. and shit
Totally.
like that. So
There's also on the way to the GSR, like right when you get off, the Better Call Lob one is
yeah,
right there.
Yeah. Yep.
But I think he's like injury and accident.
He does,
one.
yeah. I mean, Joe does, Laub does like BK, civil litigation. My friend Nick, who works there, he does some family law and stuff.
Okay, cool.
And so, but mainly they focus on like the PI and the bankruptcy.
Yeah.
A couple of my friends have a billboard on right near mine, like right downtownish. And then Joel Barber has the one that kind of looks like, it's almost like a crypt. Sorry, Joel. But like that is behind mine on like Sierra and Liberty. So
Okay.
It has like a big ass one. So yeah, I think it was really like mainly a PI. Like personal injury was like really the one, especially if you go to like Vegas and shit. Everyone you see, it's like a personal injury thing.
Everybody's hammered, pilled out. There's a lot of elderly. So they're probably ramming into each
Totally.
other. They see that sign, they call somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, PI is like the main billboardy ones, I think.
Oh yeah, that's like the most that
They're
I see.
expensive, right? So that comes into play too, is like,
They're anywhere from like $2,000 to $4,000.
oh, even more. Like I know some of the ones that Joe Laub, like when he really had a bunch of them in town, were up to like 10. Yeah.
And because I used to work in marketing for real estate specifically, and I had a lot of real estate agents that wanted to be on the billboards. And so we looked into it, and I think it's Lamar Advertising.
Yeah.
And so it only runs for 4 weeks. So you are having to book it out in advance.
Right.
But the billboards that we were looking at, I was like, oh my gosh, it's anywhere between $2,000 and $4,000. And I think
Yeah. Just for per month.
just per month,
Depending on
like
placement too. 'Cause
Oh yeah.
you're right by the
absolutely.
GSR. That's going to
Yeah.
be a big ticket.
Yeah.
for the ones that we were looking at, I don't know all of them around,
totally.
but yeah.
Yeah, they're expensive.
So is it more of a PR type of move?
You know what
Or
I
is
think it
it-
is? I think that my theory is if you think about like Coke and Pepsi, right? And their advertising scheme is that even though that's the major soda brands, but they advertise more than almost any other soda company. Why? Because if you keep it, advertising works subconsciously.
Yep.
So if you have multiple avenues of subconscious advertising versus direct advertising, that kind of hits both parts of the brain, I think, and then and keeps it fresh. And so for me, like people will be like, well, how much advertising, like how much business do you actually get off the billboards? I have no idea because I think it's like It's more of
It's brand recognition.
It's brand recognition. It's subconscious advertising that you're like, shit, I need a divorce. Didn't I see like something once, you know, on that billboard or that name, like figure you're like scrolling down Google. There's 30 fucking attorneys. There's a list, you know, all these like 4.4 stores, 4.6 stars, whatever. How do you choose? You know?
Right,
and so then I think that's where the subconscious advertising comes in, where like you'll
because you've seen it X amount of times on your
brain is
commute.
like, oh, that one sounds familiar.
It's the consistency of seeing it. It gets digested, and then when it's time.
So like they say that Campbell soup cans are the most recognizable brand of all time. So you can recognize a Campbell soup can from across a grocery store and know exactly what it is. Even if you don't eat the fucking soup. I don't even know like if it's that popular still, like really. But it's, but like you see that can, everybody knows that can.
Yeah, that it's super interesting because especially from the Bay Area, that's where I'm originally from. I feel like I didn't see as much advertising on billboards, like maybe in San Francisco, but just it's so prevalent here in Nevada.
It's really prevalent here. I agree. Yeah, and I don't know. I guess I'd never paid attention. I don't think, though, you start paying attention until there's reason to pay attention.
Exactly. Well, that was the thing for me is I didn't really pay attention until I had to figure out how much it cost.
Right.
And then I'm driving everywhere and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're
it's like dollars.
Literally. And I'm like, okay, I like, you know, you go on the map and you're like, where is this one located? And yeah, it's interesting to see how many views each of the billboards get in different locations too.
Totally. My favorite is there was a murder on, I mean, the murder wasn't my favorite. I mean,
figured.
You know, it doesn't benefit my business any, like when they're dead, so whatever. But there was a murder, like at some janky ass hotel, I don't know, off 4th Street or somewhere, and apparently I have a billboard over there. And so it was really good advertising because it was like the cop, like the news crew had like a picture of like the apartment and like the tape and all this shit, and then there's like my billboard all.
No way. Oh my gosh, that worked out perfect.
That's
perfect.
I'm like, die?
Yeah.
You can call me. Exactly. I'm like, it doesn't do me as good. I mean, except for like maybe like children left behind. It's just grass, but I mean, whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Business is business.
Business is business. I'm by the jails. I'm on the Par Boulevard. So like
interesting.
You beat your wife, you go to jail, you drive by my billboard, you know, it's
Wow. Yeah.
conscious advertising.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Well,
Real quick, I did want to apologize for the condescending comments I made.
Oh, no, they were great comments. It was the tone.
Some of it, I think, crossed the line. Yeah, no,
Comments were great. I was like,
I said some shit.
Yeah. You called me having great boobs.
I said silk blouse, big boobs,
Yes.
hot young lawyer who's going to win.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hot, young, big boobs. And I was like, I'm waiting for like the bad part. It was more of the tone. It's very confusing. I was like, your tone is shitty, but
he's also an aspiring comedian.
Yeah.
So
Inspiring is the key word.
Well,
yeah.
no, I loved it because I was like, I'm confused here. Your tone is shitty, but every word you're saying, I was all
you're
check.
eating it up. Yeah.
But my friends were very defensive, which was really sweet because that's how it got sent to me. Because
That's what I figured. Yeah.
Totally. That's the magic of social media.
Yeah. No, that got sent to me. They were kind of mad.
I'm sure.
I at first was taken aback, but then I listened to it again and again, and I'm like, God, I'm fucking glorious.
Yeah.
My Botox is working because he thinks I'm young. Like, you know, I think this is pretty good.
Totally. And like it was just a segment about billboards in Reno because we were just noticing there's so many lawyer billboards here.
And isn't that great though? Because figure you had 2,000 billboards to choose from and you chose mine. So
and now we're having this conversation.
So clearly
That's the beautiful part. We get to actually sit down and talk with you about it.
Totally.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, and you didn't have to pay me to talk to me. So
Which is wonderful.
Right. Which is even better.
Thanks also for not suing.
welcome.
So just wanted to get that out there. Thank you for having a sense of humor. And thank you for also dealing with my bullshit.
We did think it was funny though. The best one was, are you horny and injured?
Yeah.
I think that was like everybody's of my colleagues and stuff like favorite thing.
Yes.
Love it. Maybe it's a new billboard. Who knows? Probably not for PI.
I mean, if I was a PI, I might go with "Are you horny and injured?" call me.
Right.
I can help with one of those
I can
things.
help. Not sure which one. We'll find out. Like,
Oh, we should start like a marketing agency now.
I don't know. I might get fired.
That's so funny.
Couple different things to go over. When it comes to dealing with divorce in Reno, do you see like a common causality? Is it financial? Is it infidelity?
What's happening with our couples here in Reno?
Why are people saying fuck off to each other?
So there's twofold. So one is I started memorizing ages of children and what, like, it started kind of correlating, I think, how difficult kids are at certain ages. And so what I found was that generally with people between kids from the age of like 0 to the youngest at 5, really high divorce, like anybody, like, or even just custody cases and fighting, but like breaking up or divorce, was 0 to 5. And then you really didn't see anything again until around like 11 to 13 kids. And then nothing until either like around 17 or the kids are out of the house. So I was like, okay, well, if you're going to have kids, like those are the shit years. They must be assholes or challenging or difficult or whatever. And so I think that was a big part of it, is like kid times were harder at those age groups. And so that makes people have conflict internally. And so that was a big part. And so that's going to be anywhere, we see a lot of older, and my colleagues, I think we were kind of talking about this, is like people who've been married really long time, like 20, 30 years. And by then it's done. And so that's been kind of interesting. And I don't know if it's like midlife crisis-y, like we're in our mid 50s now. I can't even really, from my business world, like correlate it with like the economy or correlate it with, things like that.
I have just like a theory that came to mind, like social media, I feel like has been on the rise. And I think that there's a lot of influencers and celebrities that are publicly, flaunting their relationship online and, oh, look how happy we are. And then all of a sudden they're getting a divorce and you have to respect their time.
Right.
And it's like it's this big deal where you're like, I thought you were happy. And so do you think that social media maybe is playing a role in people's perceptions of their own relationships?
Well, I think divorce in general would be higher because temptation has always existed, right?
Yeah.
But it was a lot harder when you had to like go buy like a friggin' Hustler magazine.
Right.
Like go down to 4th Street to get a prostitute. Like,
Yeah, now you have to go to 6th.
yeah. And those 2 blocks have like really fucked up my my business, you know? When you can like literally just be like, press a button like you're ordering a fucking pizza and a prostitute shows up. Like, I think that has opened up, making it more accessible, temptation more accessible. And also, I think that it's kind of weird, but we go through like these phases of different like, like I have 3 cases where every dad killed himself, or like just really bizarre, like little chunks of something. And one of the ones that I got kind of a chunk of was like men turning gay. Now I don't know.
Turning?
I don't know, right? Like maybe they didn't know, but social media has like now really expanded, like, how would you know if you were like, I'm not talking about like.
I have an idea of how you would know.
Well, I think when there's like suddenly you can push a button and there's like a dick at your door, that makes it a lot more accessible than when you're like, I have to go buy like a gay magazine. I'm probably losing clients like left and right now. But
you have like 30 listeners, you're fine.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think if you had to like literally go buy a gay porn or go pay for like gay porn online. So there's like the receipt, how it used to like be like gayporn.com. It was like not subtle at all,
Love that.
And so but now you can like just be scrolling and shit's popping up on your feed and there's like the algorithms and all that stuff. And then you are like, oh. And so I got a lot of I went through this thing of a lot of like 50-something-year-old men who have been married for like 20, 30 years who literally just now are gay or just now just
Like finding
coming
out, or
that
coming
they're
out.
gay or admitting that they're gay because it's now, maybe it's socially acceptable. Maybe they didn't really have access to know. I don't know. I'm not.
They've been timing the market.
Yeah. And so I do think like social media plays a role in that.
Definitely. Yeah.
And upping temptation, you know, because when it was harder to like get a prostitute, like, or harder to meet people, like you had to physically go to a bar to like cheat on your wife or your husband. Now it's like
all done
slid
online.
into my DMs.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what that fucking meant, except I'm like, don't let this face fool you. Like, it's old as shit, and I don't get it. And so, but yeah, like that kind of thing. I think it makes it way more accessible, and it makes the world more tempting.
Yeah.
And I think in Nevada, because it's kind of like a big city-ish, but like a really small city, so everybody kind of knows something about somebody. Whereas like in the Bay,
Oh, you don't know.
Your number.
shit.
Yeah. Disappear.
Yeah, you don't. But here, everybody, like, you have to be careful. Like, you go to the freaking, you know, sports team, like little kids sports game, and every parent's gonna know either, you know, one parent who knows the other parent, or that parent knows something about the friend of that. Like, it's just crazy.
Well, we came from Truckee, which is way smaller than here.
Right.
But even coming here, we're realizing it's another small community.
Yeah.
It really is like the biggest little city.
It truly is. Yeah. No, exactly.
Because because he's even from Sac too. So being in bigger cities, you really can disappear, and the community is just not there. Whereas there's a community here in Reno.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. And you know more than you should, like in the circle that you're in, you know what I mean? And in our world, because we deal with people even outside of like our, you know, our friendship circle, then we deal with the public in so many aspects. And so then there's, it's a crazy, like, I think at this point in my career, with having been practicing as long as I have, like, more stuff tends to be word of mouth versus like younger attorneys where you really have to like invest in like paying for like click ads and all that kind of crap and stuff like that. But once you're, you know, known, it gets spread because it is a small town.
Yeah. So it seems like the common trends from what you're saying is, one, it's married couples that do have kids that are going through certain age periods with their kids. And then two, sexuality preferences is coming into play a lot more. Like it's just higher.
I'm surprised by that.
Higher percentage.
One of the ones, it's probably not funny, I think. The problem is a lot of shit is funny once you've done this job that like probably in like normal worlds, or like when you're a restaurant and I'm a fucking loud talker and I'm like, and then
and you're like, shush,
old
shush.
ladies are like, can we move over there?
Right.
Bitch, you're gonna still hear it.
Yeah.
She's having too much fun. I want to leave.
She's talking about when you put it in her ass. Like, and I'm like, yeah, but it's a really good story. Just wait for the punchline, ma'am. It's gonna be good. It's worth it. But one poor lady, like he literally was like, she walked in, he's in full like gay leather thing.
Judas Priest.
Some kind of thing going on. And he's like, yeah, but it's just for fun. And I'm like, well, what's the fucking alternative? Work?
Going
Or
clubbing in Berlin?
Or like,
Right.
I'm not, right? I hope so. I don't know what the other option, or is she supposed to be like, oh, good. It's just for fun. We can work this out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So just really strange, like the older couples who, and I think because people are living longer too, and they're fucking tired of each other.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? Like, dude, like maybe when I was 40, you were all right. 50s, I tolerated it because we were still in our career. And now I'm at 60, fucking over you, and you're never dying. Like, you're not fucking dying.
When is the fucking time?
Dude, you're 70 and you're not dead. Like,
Right.
like I have another 2 decades of this shit.
So they're getting divorced at that age.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm surprised by that too, because you would think at that point
You just
you're
like,
over
just
the
stick it
youth.
out.
Stick it out, you're almost fucking done.
Right.
And I've had that conversation. I'm very honest. I'm like, you know, can you put in 20 more years,
Right.
invest and get 100%? Or do you pull it, have 20 more years, but you're 50% broker? Like,
Yeah.
there's a value in being done, but there's a value in fucking staying.
So I actually wanted to touch on that.
Yeah.
Do you go through like preventative maintenance with your clients before going through the divorce?
Like, teach them how to fix their marriage.
Kind of. Like, I guess.
I don't like to lose, right? I'm an arrogant cunt. Sorry, can you say cunt?
Yes.
100%.
Well, can you say
This
cunt?
is America.
I'm
yes.
all, can you say cunt? Like, eye contact. I am not a big fan of, like, I'm good at settling cases. I have a pretty good idea, generally speaking at this point, of what more or less the outcome's going to be. Not 100%, but a pretty generally good idea. And so I will give it to you very straight of like, look, like the ones with the old people, like, you're going to get more if he dies. Like, so
Heart attack
here's
tomorrow.
what you're going to get if you get divorced now. Here's what you'll get if he dies. But then they get mad, like when they die in the middle of the fucking case. And I'm like, you're welcome. Like,
This just saved you a lot of costs.
just like literally saved some costs and got 100% instead of 50. Like, this was a fucking win.
Oh, wow.
You didn't like him anyway. What the fuck are you mad about? Like, you want to divorce him, but I don't know. It seemed like a good win to me, but it's not good for repeat business because that guy's not going to get remarried, then come back. But it's good. Like, you should be appreciative. Like, you got 100%. But no, they don't want to stick it out. So I definitely am like, here's your strengths, here's your weaknesses. Time is not on your side on this case. Time is totally on your side. Like, the longer you wait, the like more alimony you're going to get, or, we don't have these things like California, like you hit the 10 years and you suddenly get alimony or things like that, like that different places have. Our shit doesn't work that way. And so I'm like, but if you can, I tell them straight up, I'm like, this isn't a good time. Or like, they want to change custody. I'm like, you get one bite at the apple. Like, now's not that bite. Like, your case is weak. Like, I'll do it. I'll do whatever the fuck you want if you pay me. But I'd rather do it when we have a more solid thing, or it's going to bend or fit you. Or if I'm like, look, do it now, do it tomorrow, do it 2 years from now. It's probably going to all be the same. So I give a very realistic
perspective of what's going on.
My guess. Yeah.
That
Which
makes
I don't
sense.
think, like, I don't know what my friends do.
Yeah. The reason why I ask is because I feel like, you probably are acting almost like a therapist in certain ways with them. And so you have to kind of separate that, I would imagine. But I didn't know if there was like preventative care that you kind of put into that of like, is this really what you want to do before
Sounds like it's
just
bad for
going through
business.
it?
I don't give a shit if it's what they want to do. I only care about, this is what your outcome's going to be.
Yep.
So if you want to get this outcome, go for it. If you want a different outcome, this is what I'm foreshadowing that probable outcome down the road. And so you're a fucking grown ass adult. Like, either
Like, go to marriage counseling.
Yeah.
Don't come to me with that. It's more of like, this is what's going to happen.
Well, people want to tell you stuff. And for me, I kind of cut it off. Well, one, I do so many consults, so I do like 30 minutes and I'm always behind.
And you're at time.
I know. And I wish I was good at that. A lot less people would be pissed at me like every day over it, because I just talk and talk and talk. But but it's because I'm like, I feel like I really need to lay out, like, this is what the hell this is going to look like. You know what I mean? And this is like what I foreshadow, this direction or that direction. Call me if you want to. I'm happy to do it. But you may not like the outcome, or you may get a good one or whatever. I'm not going to sit here. People want to tell you, like, dude, I know more about like that you've never had sex your entire marriage. And I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't, you still owe him half the 401k. Like, good to
Yeah.
know about your dick.
Right.
But, or I'm sorry, ma'am, to hear that or whatever, or he slept with whatever. And I'm like, or he beat the shit out of me, or she did this and that and lit my shit on fire. And I'm like, okay,
Another day at the office.
Because that doesn't necessarily, I mean, does that affect the case, I guess? Like when you hear all of that stuff that they're telling you.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
It doesn't affect the case?
Unless they burn up like good shit.
Yeah.
And we get like some extra money maybe for like marital waste.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't give a fuck if he fucked everyone in town. Unless you got AIDS and now we have like a tort claim, I don't care. Like,
but please
Oh,
don't
that's
get
so
AIDS.
interesting. I think
bad. Like,
yeah.
but then we have something to work with. But outside of something like that, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I had one guy who's fantastic. He owned his cheating shit. And his only fatal mistake was that like he only bought like Victoria's Secret for like the lovers, not the wife. Like, good lesson, guys. Buy the same shit for your wife as the person you're cheating with. Like,
Just gonna take some notes.
Just take some
real
notes
quick.
there. You're welcome. Like when we go to court and you never bought her Victoria's Secret and it's on your credit card, we kind of know it wasn't for her.
Right.
I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
That's when you say you're gay and say it's for you.
That's right. That's when you shift gears.
Yep.
Nice. I got that. I'll do
Gotta
that
double
for that.
down.
That was for me.
One for you, one for me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had one where she was like just insistent, and it was like peppermill $7, and the court was like, if that was a date, that was a really how can you go on a date for $7?
Right.
And I'm like,
No.
you didn't. I don't think that was a date this time. Like the
Totally.
Victoria's Secret, yes. The peppermill at $7.
That was probably just
shitty
like
fucking
a
sandwich.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. I was about to say, I was like, that's a drinker's sandwich.
Exactly. So yeah. So no, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, that's so interesting. I don't know why I thought that like having that information, you could use it against them to get more
Only with
stuff.
custody stuff, like the
Okay.
abuse, not cheating or any of that. Abuse and stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Lighting shit on fire. But like outside, that's cussy world of like when you're crazy. But just divorce, no kids. I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
You're two adults.
Like, this is a really good story, but I don't care.
Right. Totally.
So speaking of good stories, what's like the craziest case that you ever overseen?
Oh God.
Yeah. Buckle up.
The problem is that so much shit seems funny. And I mean, and then when you like try to tell someone how funny it is, sometimes they
Like
don't
not as funny.
necessarily-
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I have an
still
idea of
fucking think
that.
So.
So cops, EMTs, everybody who works in hospitals, you deal with a lot of dark shit.
Yeah.
Divorce attorney, you deal with a lot of dark shit. You probably develop like a fun sense of humor to deal with a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, definitely. And I get like, I'm notorious amongst my colleagues and friends of having like, okay, Kaitlyn's got like another choker or, like I've really, cause I don't give a shit. A lot of my friends like won't touch domestic batterers.
Wow.
Bitch wouldn't shut up. I'm kidding. But that's how you have to see it to like
Right.
do the case and not care. That's how criminal defense attorneys do it. They're not like, well, some people like to rape children. Like, you just have to like make a joke about it, do the fucking job, come up with something clever. I actually have said like, he didn't choke the older kid. He only choked the younger one. So
Being a little bit of a brat.
but it's like, you say what you got to say. Like, when your client shows up to court on cocaine and wants custody, doesn't make it the easiest time. I do owe my friend a bottle of Champs because I was so arrogant that I still thought I could win. But I think right off the bat, my favorite one, now this sounds fucked up, but I still think it's my favorite, is the apple dick. So I have a case, and I'm a really good researcher. Like, you got to put in the time.
Right.
When it matters.
Yes. And wait, and so the title of this is Apple Dick?
Apple dick, yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, just clarifying.
There was
And then pull this a little bit closer.
I know. I'm like,
I want to make sure we don't miss
the apple dick case. Okay. So this is just the one that, and it wasn't that recent, but it was recent enough that right now this is still my favorite one is, so the allegation against my clients, and it's all public record, so it's not like attorney-client privilege.
We don't have to name names. We're good.
Yeah, and it's all, I mean, it literally is public record. The case isn't sealed, so it's not like disclosing like attorney-client privilege shit or anything like that, you know? So, the my client's boyfriend gets accused by the like shitty out of prison, whatever, dad. So like he sucks too. Like he's not great either, you know? And they have a little girl, like 4-ish. And, the dad hates the mom's boyfriend. And he says during his visitation with the little girl that the little girl said, so-and-so pulled down his pants and he put an apple in his mouth and it was a wiener or something like that. And so basically I'm like, I asked my client, so like, does your boyfriend's dick look like an apple? Like, just curious.
This is pertinent information.
This is really important. Now, before I asked that, I obviously had to do my own research. So like when you Google apple dick, there's lots of apples that come up that look like dicks, just so you know.
Okay.
You don't need to Google it now.
Okay.
Like, sorry to ruin the
Yeah.
surprise ending. But there was not one dick, not one. I searched. There was not one single dick that looked like a fucking apple. It was very disappointing. I don't think they
Okay.
exist.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do like a dick lineup, you know,
Yeah.
like just like pages. And that's kind of what I was hoping for, like find a bunch of dicks and like, you know, this one doesn't look like
Maybe
an
it's
apple.
a baby's arm holding an apple.
Right, like
Yeah.
here, like maybe put an actual apple in the picture and then like put like a normal dick.
Just flipping through. Oh, an
Just
apple.
Apple, right? You know, and then put a picture of this guy's dick and just, you know, see if she can like
Right.
identify said apple dick. And
The 4-year-old?
4-year-old.
Oh my
That's
God.
got to be terrible to go from kid gets molested to also we're going to show you a collage of dicks. Pick which
Pick
one.
what? Just pick a dick.
Yeah.
You identify the dick. Then he's guilty. Like, I
Right.
mean, or, you know, but no, you can't find a fucking dick that looks like an apple online. It's very disappointing.
I'm going to have to look that up
You
after
will.
this,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And you will find
curiosity's
lots
gonna
and lots of apples that look like dicks. Not quite the same. So we go into court and now the girl's been with her dad for like months because we're investigating whether he put an apple in her mouth and the apple was a dick. And so dad has had months to like reprogram, like, and it was inconsistent enough what she was saying, like it, you know, and so, dude takes the stand, like he's confident about his dick. And you know, like there was still like open investigation, which normally if there's criminal, like even just a criminal investigation, you don't put anybody on the stand, you know, and screw up their criminal case, right? Potentially. But he was like, put me on the stand.
I'll whip it out right here.
Yeah, I know. He offered. So he was just fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's like Mr. Hawaiian. So he's like Hawaii, like just chilling, like just the most chill dude ever. And
With a 4-year-old alleging that you put your dick in his mouth or her mouth?
apple.
Oh, my apologies.
Yes, in his mouth, which was his dick. So he gets on the stand. So the prison dude isn't represented by counsel, which is fantastic because it makes it a lot of times way more fun, like when they get to ask their own questions to the guy on the stand. So he's just chilling, like a fucking day at the beach, like in the courtroom, Mr. Appledick. And I whispered to my client, this is when I really asked her because I was like, this is the one time I really need to know. I'm like, does his dick look like an apple? Like, I just need to, like, if it does, I know what to not ask, you know,
Right.
kind of thing. Like, just, I need to be, and she's like, no, like, it doesn't.
We're good.
We're good. I'm like, cool. So, the guy, the friggin' dad is like, do you have any deformities? And I wasn't going to go there. I was not going to like just blatantly say, sir, does your dick look like an apple? Although I really wanted to, because I thought like later on when I watched, we can get Javs, which is like the CD or whatever, like the video.
Yeah.
And like, I like kind of think it's funny to like watch old ones.
Play it back like that.
And be like, yeah, this is a keeper, you know?
Yeah.
And so dude's just chilling, and he's, and the dad's like, do you have any deformities? So I know exactly what the fuck, but Mr. Hawaiian is just chilling. He's like, no. He's like, at all? And he's like, no, like seems all confused. And I'm like, fuck yes. Like I get to look without looking like an asshole, ask about my client's boyfriend's dick.
Right.
And so I'm like really excited about this, which is kind of pathetic, but whatever.
No, that's exciting.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's
And
in the
so
courtroom too.
Yeah, it's in the courtroom. The judge is there. Sometimes he falls asleep. He was awake, so we were good. And so I'm like, you know, sir, you read the restraining order. You read that and I had the quote back then. And it was like, he showed me his dick. It looked like it looked like an apple, and it went in my mouth or something like that. And I was like, dude. And so I said to the guy, I was like, sir, does your penis look like an apple? And he's like, I started off all serious. I'm like, I want to remind you that you are under oath.
Oh my God.
He's like, yeah, okay, no problem. And I'm like, does your penis look like an apple? And he's like, nope. I can show the judge if you'd like. And I'm like, I look at the judge, and he's straight-faced, and I'm like, I think he's okay.
Oh,
Let's get a game.
my
Exactly.
gosh.
Just, Your Honor, Exhibit 1, my client's boyfriend's penis.
Yes.
As the court can see, it does not
Not look like an apple. That is so funny.
So anytime that, you know, I did a week in legal London, so the British are far more polite than we are.
Do they still do the powdered wigs in there
They
too?
do.
Gross.
Yeah. It's all horsehair, and there's these poor women in this like I was going to call it a sweatshop, but it's really like 3 women in just a basement. I don't know if you really, I mean,
That's
it was
basically a
sweaty.
sweatshop,
It was
yeah.
sweaty. You know, I mean, it was hot kind of, but it's Britain, so it's not like really that hot. And they they brush out the fucking horsehair, and they make them, and the wigs are like really expensive. And so, the barristers, so like they break it down to like solicitors do all the paperwork, barristers go into court. So there's only like 50,000 barristers in London, like that actually go into court and litigate, where here we do the paperwork and go into court. And they're far more polite than we are. And so in court, when we were watching them, it was like, well, my learned friend here, while he's made some excellent points, I would ask that, you know, the court look to da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, well, I appreciate what my learned friend said. So I go in with a friend of mine. We have a case against each other. And he's like, let's see how many times, like, we can call each other learned friend.
Oh my gosh. It's like a
little tally.
playground.
It is. It's like kind of like a high schoolish shit show of people who are supposed to be really mature, and we're not.
Yeah.
At all.
Oh my gosh.
love that.
That's
Yeah.
so great, actually.
Yeah.
I wanted to actually bring up some statistics with you just to get your perception on if this is also happening in Reno. It's more of like just general across the board what's happening in the United States. But I believe once you get married, you have a 56% chance of getting a divorce. And then 84% of people that get divorced remarry after 5 years.
Oh.
Which is really interesting to me because it seems like you didn't do it right the first time around, but as human beings, we are just so drawn to getting married and doing it again.
Right.
And I just want to know, like, where do you think that comes from? Like, do you think that we have to get married? Like, where is this idea of marriage will solve problems?
So you know what I actually was interesting is I was in Jamaica, and the guy asked me, some rando dude at like the resort who was Jamaican, who worked there, and he was like, why do Americans always get married? Like, and I was like, I hadn't really thought about it before. I think I was at that point like doing creditors' rights, or I worked at the Attorney General's office, so I used to represent the prisons. And So I hadn't been like in family law at that point when he asked me that. And I realized later, and I was like, oh, you guys don't have like, you don't get married here. And he's like, no, like I have a son, I have a kid's mom. And I'm like, yeah, we do that in America too.
It's called a baby mama.
Yeah, exactly. We do that a lot too, but they don't get married there. And I realized it's our deep-seated, it wasn't until he asked me that I realized, like, because our foundation in our country was based on Christianity and Catholicism. And so with that underlying, even though most people, well, I guess that's not true, but a lot of people aren't religious, and so they get married even if they aren't religious people. But I think it's been a kind of our underlying foundation of our country comes from that aspect of religion. And so we do that here in this country far more than like other places that don't practice the Christianity or Catholicism. And so I know it's strongly held in that belief, even for those of us who aren't actively religious. But why do they get remarried? I think it's a social thing. You know, a friend of mine was saying to me, yeah, I should probably, you know, and they're in their 40s, we've been together like 10 years or, 8 years. I probably should ask her to marry me at this point. I don't think she loves like being called my girlfriend I think it's a kind of a psychological status symbol of being called somebody's girlfriend when you've been together 20 years. You know what I mean? It
sounds gay if you say my partner.
It sounds gay if you say my partner.
Yeah.
And I'm always like confused, like when people call and they're like my partner, and then I'm like waiting because I don't know what that.
Do they drive a Subaru?
Yeah, I know exactly. Like, is a pussy gonna like jump out of like
just waiting?
I know, right? Like that's what happens in the Bay Area. Is how it goes. Like there's just like vagina like coming out of the glove box, and here it's much more common. It's very surprising here. Like here's a practicality. In the Bay, it's like vagina.
Yes.
But like I think it really is like a social psychological status symbol of this is my girlfriend, kind of indicates it's not serious. Like, oh, I'll go like hook up with that dude. Well, he has a girlfriend. Right.
It's not a wife.
Not a
wife. See a ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
that's
pretty
a
common.
big part of it.
Yeah.
I think it's like socially we put value on the like solidification of that relationship by marriage, which is kind of stupid, really, but it's good for business. So thank God.
Totally.
There's like a lot of social pressure around that, where it's
There
like
is.
you guys have been together for so long, you haven't gotten married. Is everything okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like people don't necessarily congratulate you for being together and committing just without being married. But then once you say
you're basically one step from walking out that door.
Yeah.
As far as like our society is concerned.
Yeah.
Like,
without the
might as
You
well
could
just
leave tomorrow.
Absolutely. He's probably not going to notice. Like,
right.
like,
I'm hungry. What happened?
and except until he's fucking hungry. Yeah. And then I'm like, and there went fucking some really good clients.
Right.
Oh, fuck.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm like, so everybody keep getting married.
Right. Yeah.
Do it again. I love my repeat clients. They call me and I'm like, didn't I tell you the last time? We had this talk.
Yeah.
I know. And I'm like, all right.
And you go through it again.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for business, bad for life, mate.
Totally.
Pocketbook.
So relating to repeat clients, do you see people that get divorced remarry each other and then divorce again?
I've done those.
How is that? That sounds messy.
It's actually usually easier because the divorce ends the community. So when they get married again, now we're only looking at like the 2 years for the divorce. Instead of 20, because we already did the 20. Now we're at not 22, we're at 2. And so I've had it where like some lady was like, the opposing party was like, this is a 22-year marriage. I'm like, no, bitch. This is a 2. Yeah. I know this is a 2-year marriage.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, exactly. So I like that. I mean, not for them, but for business. And, you really get to bond.
Yeah.
Like,
you get to go through the trauma with them.
I get to like really just, how has the last 2 years been?
Not good. You're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what's funny, right? Because we do that like as girlfriend, boyfriend, right? You break up, but our brain is programmed to like realize, like, we forget the bad shit, and then the good memories stick, and then you're like, oh, well,
Totally.
Yeah.
I got bored. Come back.
Yeah, and like, or all the other douches I went out with, or bitchy ass crazy chicks, and like, they're not seeming bad anymore until you get back together, and then you're like, oh, that's right.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, I forgot about all those things that are still there.
Yeah.
2 years ago. Yeah.
It's very interesting. I wanted to touch back on the religious part of what you were talking about, because I actually had some stats around that too.
Okay.
With Christianity.
I think one of us like reads stuff.
So
I just have these so I don't lose my train of thought.
It isn't you or
No.
me. So I'm like, this is
well,
good.
we both have a lot of divorce, I think, in our families.
Yeah.
So it's just something that we are very interested in.
Yeah, totally.
I was very excited to talk to you, but also
Most people are.
Yeah.
So I
yeah. Right.
get it. Obviously. Yeah, you can't in our world, unless you're religious, from my perspective, and I don't give a fuck what any other attorney says because they're lying, is like, we're suspect. Like, if you don't drink, unless you have religious purposes, like, you should be suspect of that. Because that either means you're doing like blow off a hooker's ass, which is fine too. Sometimes you do both at the same time.
It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you blow while drinking off a hooker's ass, and that's good.
It's called a snow luge.
Oh, good to know.
I mean, from what I've heard.
Yeah, of course, would have no experience. I have no experience, and don't know exactly. I read that with she was reading statistics, and I was reading,
something like
up on it. So, so I was.
We both came prepared. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But don't trust a fucking attorney who doesn't drink, unless they're on a diet or religious.
That's really interesting.
That's how I feel about people with vices. If you don't have one, I'm already suspect.
No, you should be.
Like, where is that vice
where is it
going?
It's a hidden one, and that's way scarier than
You're into
the open
kids.
one.
Yeah.
You fucking pedophile.
Just immediate.
You're
Apple dick.
you don't drink, and you aren't doing blow off a hooker's ass.
Right.
You must be into children.
Yeah. It's the most
took it
logical.
all the way. It's the most logical
Right.
like connection to that. That's where you come
A
up
to
with
Z.
apple dicks. I
Yeah.
agree. So what I tend to see more from a religious standpoint is where the parties have split direction on, they both used to be Mormon, or they both used to be what's the one that doesn't Jehovah's Witness. We've seen that.
There's a lot of them
Dubs.
here.
I know. Where I'm from originally, it wasn't religious. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about the Mormon culture. I didn't know anything about Jehovah's Witness. Like, it was just not a religious area. And so I've learned a lot about that here and how it comes into play in certain things. But a lot of that's what I do see, is where one has gone a direction or wants their kid to go
In
a different
one
direction, and the other side, absolutely not. And that's when, but it's tricky, right? Because we have this separation of religion and state. And so that gets really tricky when you're like, what school do they go to? That ended up with our only school case in Nevada only like 5 years ago, because it was a religious school versus a non-religious school. So they actually had to figure out, how do we determine a school that isn't based on religion? But even that, what do you do when one parent wants their kid to practice this religion and the other parent doesn't? Right. And because then what a judge is supposed to decide, well, then it's not separation between church and state. So it's tricky.
Yeah. So what does come of those cases? Like,
Well, the school one they figured out because it went up to the appellate court or the Supreme Court and came down saying, okay, we're finally going to give you school factors to decide how to like pick a school. Cool. Thank you. It's 2021 now, and we finally have a case to like look to on how to figure out what fucking school a kid goes to.
Right.
It's a long time here. It's getting better. But we've been slow compared to like California law and things like that of like having all these various things.
Yeah.
So now has all these factors. So it's irrelevant whether it's a religious school or not. You have to just look at those things. But like with the church and not church, it tends to be more of, this is what you do on your dad's time, this is what you do on your mom's time. Parent gets the
On
day.
Sundays, we're going there.
Yeah. Because what are they going to say? No. Like,
Right.
we're not going to force the kid to go to the church because the other parent doesn't want you to, or we are going to force it. So I think they just have left it more of like, parent gets to do that one aspect. But let's fight over football.
Right.
But we're going to rule on whether they can play football this year or not.
Or the Honda Civic.
Or the Honda Civic. So yeah, it's kind of a strange, it's a trick. It's like a tiptoey kind of area.
Yeah.
So then with custody and custody battles, where do you see people dropping the ball and fucking up, and how can they avoid it before it comes to court? Like if you've noticed a commonality among like, you know, dad works night shifts, so it doesn't make sense to have the kid there.
Right.
Things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's one of the things that I try to resolve cases. I have a really high percentage of settling cases. I'd say I'm at about 98, 99% of settling when we get to that stage.
Wow.
Almost none of my cases go to trial. And the ones that do, a lot of times I'll bail out because I'm like, you're just patently wrong and you're going to lose and you're not hearing me. And I'm just not one of those attorneys. Like I said, I don't like to lose. And so if they're not listening to what I know we're going to lose on, and you want to go forward, there's shit ton of attorneys in this town who are happy to put in work, happy to take the money. I just feel like it's kind of dirty money. I don't know why.
It's like you're going to be losing. I'm telling you, you're going to lose, and you're going to pay me so we can avoid this or
and
not.
then you're going to be fucking pissed at me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I am not in the mood for you being fucking mad at me because you lost on exactly what I told you were going to lose on, and then you get a shitty review, and then I get really irritated. So, like, yeah, exactly. So I tell you, like, in the consult or, like, as things are going, like, this is the direction things have shifted as this case is going forward. This is, you know, more likely than not what I perceive based upon, because one of the things that the courts do, one of the judges, when I first clerked, so clerkships are, if you're lucky, you can get a judicial clerkship. And so basically you, after law school, you can work for a judge for a year. Some judges do 2. And if you're lucky to get one of those spots, then you get to really get an opportunity to see what the third side of this world, professional world, looks like, because you get to see attorneys in action and what that works, what doesn't work, what to do, what not to do, the judicial side of it and what the judges think, the court order side and how they rule, and really that kind of thing. And so it's a really helpful, like, if you can get one of those. And so I had clerked for a judge out in Fallon before he had passed away, and then over the summer right after law school, and then for a judge in Carson City. And so, like, you really get a good sense of what the judge in Carson had told me was the problem with his attorneys is we love talking and we don't listen. And it's super, super true. We don't listen to our own witness on the stand. We're so set on, like, what are we going to ask or what are we trying to do that we're not listening. And so the biggest skill that I had learned was really freaking listen to what the judge says and what the person on the stand says, even if it's just in passing. But you'll learn more about, like, what the judge's thought process is that they said kind of in passing, or their facial expression. And especially if you're in front of the same judges enough. I'm in court a lot, like a lot more than a lot of my friends. And so I've gotten to, like, read the facial expressions and stuff like that a little bit
You get to know them on, like, a human level too.
Yeah, and you can kind of, like, oh, she pursed her lips, or oh, she asked, because a lot of times the judge will ask a question and you're like, oh, that's what they're interested in, because why would they, you know, or they made this offhand statement. And so you can learn so much from those type of things. And so I take that and I'm like, look, the judge specifically said in passing, but still said, you know, da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, that indicates to me blah. And so that's where I try to, like, really guide, like, look, things aren't going down the pipe the way you see them, or judge is not liking on the other side, da-da-da-da-da. So I think we really should push on whatever. And so that's where I give the guidance of, like, we need to back off of this position because you can tell it's not impressing the court. Or the judge made it pretty clear this piece seemed important because they asked this one question. So that is where I get like kind of a good sense of.
You notice the small details.
I pay attention to the small details.
That's huge.
I'm a good litigator, but it's because of the small details. It's why it can drive people in my personal circle absolutely fucking nuts because I'm like, I saw your fucking face.
Like I read the micro expression. There's some bullshit over there.
Or why did you ask? There was something that came up today where one of the people was like, I never got your messages, but I'll do X, Y, and Z by this date. And I said to my staff, I was like, well, how'd she know the date if she didn't hear the fucking messages? Like, it's just
a little inconsistency.
a little inconsistency. But if you're paying attention, like you can like notice like memorization of people's patterns of conduct. And if you can memorize people's patterns of conduct when the conduct changes, it's telling. And so that is what's good in court is like, you know, when your coked out client who says he's not on coke, like gets on the stand and starts talking like 2,000 miles per hour, you're like, maybe they are on coke.
A little ramped up over there.
A little ramped up.
Have a Red Bull or like 6 before
just
this?
6 Red Bulls.
Yeah.
You look shocked when they drug tested you and, you know, weird. Like,
How did this get in my system?
so strange. I've had, those are good ones. You asked me good ones. Good ones are the fucking meth heads.
Oh, I
Those
bet.
are the best.
Oh, watching Cops and
no.
watching the meth heads on Cops
Meth heads are
is
the fucking best.
hilarious.
We have a lot of them.
Oh, we have
Plenty.
a lot, but I mean, meth heads in court, like there should be a show of like.
There
meth heads in
should
court.
be a show on
There
that.
should be meth heads in court is like the fucking best. There should just little clips like, Your Honor, I fell and the pipe went into my vagina. Swear to God.
And then I put it in my mouth and hit it.
Yeah, no, I think like the vagina is like, you know, like it was like ping pong pussy from Thailand. It was just all like, I don't know what
math.
fucking happened. It just, she fell, it went in.
Like, I don't know
why
how
she
that
tested
happened.
dirty.
Yeah.
And I'm so fucking retarded. When I first got practicing, I'm apparently was really bad at like figuring out like who's on meth. It's a skill I'm starting to pick up on, but I'm not still the best at it. And I was sitting next to a meth head client, like repping her in a child abuse case, the mom, and the court was like, you know, and she had like, you know, hair, and it was like, shh, you know, whatevs, and we're sitting there and we're chilling, and in the child abuse case, and the judge is like, will you test for me today? And she's like, yeah. And they were like, will you do a hair follicle test? And she's like, I don't have any hair. And I'm so fucking retarded that I didn't notice like her thing was
Head
like
of hair.
a fucking wig.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, I need to step up my hair game because I just thought she had fucked hair. I didn't know. Like,
You didn't want to be rude, so
I
you're like,
didn't
I'm trying not to
know.
stare at it a
Try
little
not to
too
make too much eye
right. I
contact.
mean, we are in like child abuse court, so I guess I should have caught on. But like, I just thought, you know, like she had bad hair and need a shower or something. No, it was a fucking wig. She had nothing under there. She said. I was like, I don't need to see it. It might give me nightmares, but no, goddamn wig. I'm like,
Wow.
huh. So then she pops dirty. She tells me, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? You knew you were coming to court. Like, meth gets out of your system in 3 days, bro.
Give
Like,
it some time.
just a couple days. All you had to do was not 3 days ago.
Wow.
She's like, I didn't. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, it's the paint on my apartment. And I'm like, well, stop fucking eating paint. Like, you know.
Were you just smoking so much meth that it's in the paint?
Yeah. Or like, are you
Eating
paint? I don't fucking know. I mean, I can't tell you have no hair, so
Right.
fuck do I? Maybe you are eating paint.
There's a lot of paint.
There's a lot of paint. She's all like little paint chips. in her
Oh
fucking
my
teeth.
gosh.
I'm like, there's a little blue right there. But yeah, no, the meth heads are the best. Falling off the chair in the middle of court, just boop.
Oh, geez. That would scare
Poisoned
me.
You know,
meth.
with meth, yes. He wanted me to test dirty today, even though we're here together as a couple to get our kid back. But I didn't do it, so he must have given me his meth. And I didn't know.
Wow.
I fucking hate when that happens.
They're usually not good at sharing.
Yeah,
too.
not so much. Not
No.
no. So, yeah, meth ones are good.
Well,
Those are
watching
good ones.
an episode of Cops, there was a meth head that had a pipe in his pants, and he was like
a quarter ounce of meth.
yeah,
Don't
and a
forget
quarter.
that
Yeah,
part.
sorry, but he was like, "What's this doing in your pants?" And he's like, "These aren't my pants."
Yes, we've heard those before.
And it's
They
like,
actually say that to the judge.
yeah, and they're like, "I don't know where I got these pants. Like, these aren't my clothes."
Right.
And we were watching this, and I'm like,
No, I've actually had that in court. It's fantastic. Like, I hate when you accidentally put on someone else's pants that you don't know.
Right.
And it happens to have fucking meth in it. It's really annoying.
And you don't check your pockets ever?
No, I mean, it's only happened to me once. But that one time I was like, don't ever wear someone that you don't know's pants again. Like, lesson learned, everyone. Like,
Yeah.
these are good lessons that
yeah, no, they are.
don't know until you watch cops or like go to court. And you're like, fuck. Good thing I watched this episode. I'm learning a lot here.
The thing I love about meth heads, though, is that they always have like a quest. They're always busy.
They're busy as fuck.
Yeah. Never lazy.
No?
Maybe not the best parents, but like they're always fucking busy.
Not usually. I mean, they're persistent.
They don't give up.
They don't give up. And meth, I think, is like if you want to get pregnant, you know, I'm not recommending it, but I'm not saying I'm not. That meth seems to work better and more efficiently than IVF because I mean, they have a fuck ton of babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, those fuckers just...
It's not stopping fertility, that's for sure.
Oh, no, it helps.
Yeah.
I think you're just all, no, and like, so all night you're just like, fucking going.
There's a weird intersection here with meth and sexuality. So people that habitually use meth, their sex drive goes way through the roof.
Right.
And then it's very popular in the gay community. They call it Tina. And so you get crystal meth to Crystal to Christina. Tina.
Oh.
Yeah, but
cute.
you take that and they just
Supposed
fuck
to be
for
cute. I'm like, oh my
hours.
God, that's
Yeah, I'm like,
Just a little Tina.
It's just a little Tina. I'm going to start using that.
Yeah, but they just
Yeah.
fuck forever.
I told you not to use Tina.
right.
Just this once.
I said, don't do that until after the hearing.
Right.
What do you want me to go and tell the fucking judge?
Yeah.
The whole reason we're here is because you stopped. Oh, I'd be like, I told you to stay away from Tina.
Yeah.
I'm going with it.
Boom. Yeah.
So only the gays call it Tina? Why can't the
From what I'm
straights call
aware
it
of.
King?
You can now.
They are going to, they are welcome.
Yeah, we're going to start a new
We're taking
track.
that
I'm
word.
taking
Yeah,
that
we're
back.
They took the rainbow. We're getting Tina.
We're taking it back. Tina is my new, we're taking it back.
So we've covered common pitfalls. We've covered, your craziest case. Do you have something like your most pivotal case in your career? Something that really was like, I love this and I'm going to keep hammering this way?
No. I like money.
Mm-hmm.
So I get those cases where the people who are genuinely there, I think our caseload is really, we don't do wealthy people. And so I'm really sensitive to that. And so I try to run my business in a way that's more affordable to the average person. Mm-hmm. So I was fortunate. So like COVID didn't hit me, my profession, my personal business.
Right.
It hit the profession hard, but it didn't hit, which was funny as fuck. Because I'm like, now people are like, A, stuck in their home,
Mm-hmm.
B, fighting over fucking toilet paper like a bunch of crazed rabbits,
Mm-hmm.
and like really fucking hate each other. So I thought you'd think business would go up, but they couldn't afford it. And but my business, because I'm more willing to be flexible with money than most, and so I think that in general is the pivotal point of my personal career. Is like I give back to the community in a different way because I'm the only attorney, except maybe one or two, who does free consultations. So I feel that that's my contribution to people who don't have $300 or $400 to pay for a consultation, is they can get quite a bit of information from me for free. Mm-hmm. And I also work with, I don't have a set, like if you can't pay X, like I'm not touching your case, and I feel shit out, that in that way. So I think that's been really good. I think the child abuse docket, while it still feels kind of gross to me to take, even though the county's paying for me to do it, and I keep being told by that court and my colleagues that I'm a strong advocate for those kids who need to be advocated for, but it feels kind of yuck to me to get paid for that. Mm-hmm. But it is still a job, you know?
You still have to put food on the table.
And it's not like a ton of money in the scheme of our profession. Mm-hmm. But I think that's a good thing. I've done that for 5 or 6 years now. And so, and a lot of my friends are like, why do you like, it's not good money from our world, and it's not pleasant, you know, but I think it's a good thing to do, because there are parents who also are getting kind of screwed by when they aren't fucking up anymore, then they should get their kids back, and get the benefit of that. So, because children have like an innate love for their parents, even if their parents are on meth. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's an important piece of my job. It's kind of fucking sappy, but it's a reality. So I think that part is good. The rest is just, you find humor in the
dark shit.
In the dark shit.
You get through.
Yeah. And there's a lot of humor in it, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think that like every day it's also something new where we're like, oh, like, well, not a lot of things surprise me. But good job, I guess. I don't think it's a good thing that you surprised me, but good job.
Yeah.
You know?
Gonna add this to the list.
I know, exactly. Yeah, that's okay, people throw shit at me all the time.
My bad. Have you heard about the 20% cap that they're suggesting for attorney fees?
No, so that would have to be in personal injury or something, I would imagine.
Oh, so it's not across
might
all.
Not. Okay. Because it's a contingency fee that they want to cap at 20% in Nevada.
Right. So in family law, you can't do contingency fees.
Cool.
So,
Okay.
So that doesn't shock me. Well, and I'll tell you why that probably is. And I just was talking to my friend who does PI, because I don't do that. So in family law, it's against the rules, our rules for contingency fees on family law cases. So we have to just charge the fees, the fees. But in like personal injury cases, you can do a contingency fee. I don't know what other areas, I'm sure there's plenty of them, but I don't know what other ones. PI is the main one.
It makes sense there.
Yeah. And so I'm sure it's going to piss off a lot of attorneys, because in PI cases, I mean, that's, you know, it's not a volume game. So one, there's a shit ton of competition. Two, like a shit ton.
Oh my gosh, you just go on McCarran and it's like 6 different PI lawyers.
Yes. And so one, it's huge competition. Two, what my friend said is that there's a shit ton of attorneys from California who are now advertising and practicing here. And
for tax purposes
or the market. I don't know.
The spaghetti bowl.
Yeah, no shit. Literally for just driving anywhere.
Right.
And so I'm sure, I mean, well, you wouldn't have to pay state income tax if you earned it here, I would imagine. But the PI percentage, they are coming. There's become tons of competition here from California attorneys doing PI here.
Wow.
And so I'm honestly not surprised if maybe they're trying to do that to lower the competition.
Just to thin it out a little bit.
But what sucks, I would imagine, for those attorneys is you get like, for me, I do high volume. A lot of my colleagues who do family law do like 10, 15, 20 cases. I run a huge caseload. And so I'm more in a volume game than a lot of my colleagues. For PI, you get your 1 case of the year, or your 3 cases of the year, or your 10 cases of the year. Like, it is not
I did not realize it was that much lower.
It's not a huge volume game. And so obviously some of my friends would probably text me later and be like, you're fucking retarded. Like, I did 20 cases. Cool. Whatever. But it's not a
comparatively.
Yeah. I mean, you're not doing 200 PI cases this year.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be a huge freaking kick in the dick, right? Because if they put a cap at 20%, and that's going to take away a third of your income. So, but it has to be the California pushover would be the only thing.
I didn't realize.
I didn't know anything about that either. But that's what I've been told from my PI friends, is that competition in the PI world has skyrocketed here. And you see it. a lot of these like billboards and shit, well, you wouldn't know because you're not like in the circle or whatever, but they're Vegas attorneys. A lot of those fucking ads we have up here are Vegas attorneys.
No
They're not
way.
local. Yeah, they're not fucking local. So
That's pretty misleading.
yeah.
I feel like that's on purpose.
Right.
You know
like
what?
throw your little tiny baby satellite
Yeah.
office and one freaking secretary that's probably still in Vegas, right?
Right.
And then you're like, yeah, I'll meet with you next Thursday, and you'd pop on a plane and be up here.
Wow.
So,
But that makes sense because I remember going down to the Bay and I remember seeing the exact same billboard of an attorney that we saw when we were in LA. And I remember thinking, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I know that I saw his face. And I was like, that has to be the same
Yep.
person.
Yeah.
And he's everywhere in LA. I'm gonna look that up. But
I'm trying to think of who that was. We don't need to name him, but I'm thinking about him.
yeah, anyway, that makes sense that, you know,
so that cap maybe to like
Coming up
push
here.
back on out of state practicing here,
yeah,
to make it less incentivized, you know.
totally.
Well, it's not official. They're just trying to put it on the ballot.
I doubt it'll go through because, you know, like the circle of money, right? Like
Right.
who's in charge is who makes money. And I think they'd probably get a lot of pushback because the guy who just wrecked his car probably isn't the one who's like, yeah, I'm read this ballot, and I mean, not to be a dick, but it just seems like less likely.
Who comes to mind?
Yeah. And so I would have to say one of my favorite things you'd ask me of cases, though, it wasn't a case, but like when I worked I used to work at the Attorney General's office and I represented the prisons. So I had like,
Yeah.
I repped Lovelock. So all of the inmate lawsuits out of Lovelock was my job to rep them, to defend against the inmate lawsuits. And so that was when OJ was there. And so it was really, and so they sent him, so Lovelock is the sex offender prison. So it has like a less violent, you know, population. So I think that's why they put OJ there, because it was much more free and less likely for like, you know,
Shit to go down.
for him. And he was really popular there. But the interesting thing with that place was, so the irony of OJ being in Lovelock was like, he goes to prison, right, for stealing his own memorabilia. That's what he gets convicted of, right? The armed robbery.
I was going to say the robbery part.
Armed robbery. Armed robbery of his own memorabilia, right?
Yeah.
Here was the fucking irony that I thought was fantastic, was like, so I guess that like morons throughout the country thought he was at like a perpetual book signing. Like, I don't know if they had like this vision that he's like at a table all day long at like the Lovelock prison, just like signing autographs or something as they came in.
Yeah.
But they literally were like sending him memorabilia. And I'm like, you fucking retard. All you had to do was put your ass in like some location and people would have mailed you memorabilia.
Right.
You didn't have to arm rob your own shit.
Oh my God.
So the prison contacts the Attorney General's office and we're like, we don't know what to fucking do, because a football or a poster or a jersey or all this shit that they're mailing in, they literally were like, can you sign my jersey?
No way.
And then he wanted it signed and mailed back. When you send a fucking jersey or a football or any other thing to the prison, that's contraband.
I was gonna say, they don't have a whole lot of outbound besides mail.
Yeah, there's no who's paying for it.
Yeah.
Like, so anything that comes in, he's not allowed to have in his cell. And so it's not approved. So then it has to either get mailed back by the person who received it, and they would have to pay to have it sent back to the person, or it gets destroyed because it's not allowed. So all these people across the fucking country are mailing all this memorabilia, which I just thought was ironic. And there was like this closet in the warden's office, like packed full of shit.
Wow.
They're
And
just holding on to OJ memorabilia.
well,
like,
because
this
they were
is
like,
ours now.
and they were like, we don't know what to do because he's not going to mail it back to these rando people
Yeah.
and pay for it. And we really feel weird about just throwing out fucking expensive ass memorabilia, but he can't have it. We can't return it. It's not, once the person mails it in, it's not theirs anymore.
Right.
And so eventually he like paid for his daughter. He paid to mail all this shit that people had sent him to his daughter out in Florida. But I was like, dude, that would have been way easier than fucking doing armed robbery for all this crap. People just like mailed it to you.
I don't even know the
That's
details of
wild.
that case besides he and one of his buddies went up and basically jacked somebody for his own stuff that
Basically.
belonged to him a decade ago or something.
Yeah, basically something like that. And I'm like, no, you should have just booked yourself into the prison. They would have just mailed it to you. Oh my But when the prison was fun, only from the standpoint of the inmates are bored, obs, and they would send us like the DAGs were called Deputy Attorney Generals, and they would send the DAGs. So we had gotten a pookage, and
What the fuck is a pookage?
it's something you never want to receive. Although maybe we'll mail you one day.
I think I just figured out what it is after putting two and two together.
So they would write you a letter, and it was like, dear whatever, one of my colleagues, like, I hope you enjoy this pookage. I wipe my ass on it all over it just for your enjoyment.
Oh.
I was literally like, pookage.
Pookage,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And I thought that was really fucking clever.
That
I'm
is.
Like, you're
No,
pretty-
that is
you're
really
pretty
clever.
in there. So, keep that in mind in case you want to send a present or a
Right.
letter, because people love letters nowadays. And just send a pookage, let them know. It's nice.
Oh my gosh, that's so
It's a good
funny.
time. So, yeah.
And then I had a
prison
question.
shit was good. What's
is
up?
this a jujitsu tattoo?
No, I don't work out.
Oh. Okay, never mind.
Unless, are you required? I guess you could get tattoos.
It's definitely a cult, but like,
I am in a cult.
oh,
No, I'm
nice.
just fucking.
No, you have a tattoo that looks a lot like
Oh, yeah,
one
no.
of the jujitsu schools around.
Yeah, no, it's not. It was actually a funny thing that is really dumb, but basically like an inside thing that somebody got interviewed once about like, what does the triangle stand for in a particular thing? And their answer was so patently fucking retarded that I thought, if that's your answer of like, what do the three sides of a triangle stand for? And your answer is like, well, if like one side isn't there and then there's two sides, then there'd only be two sides. So it wouldn't make it a triangle.
Oh my
so
God.
the three sides, therefore, make the triangle.
What IQ
I
does
know.
this person
I
have?
know.
Is this Kamala Harris?
Yeah, I said, oh, shit.
Just doing a little word salad.
Hey, we're word salad and then cackling after. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I really felt that was deep, and as a result, I needed to like live my life in the means of geography, right?
Right. And get it tattooed permanently.
Wouldn't it be geometry? But like whatever.
That's fucking awesome.
Geometry. It's like
all
three
the same in my
sides
world.
equals two lines or a three-sided, and yeah. So it's
also
the end that's going on. So yeah.
I love it.
It's also the strongest shape in nature, so you can go with that.
You should
Yeah.
go with something that isn't, if there's only two lines, then it's not
Then
three
it's
lines,
not
and
a
one
triangle.
three lines
Right.
then makes it a triangle. So yeah,
Yes.
I felt a lot of power in that. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I love it.
is.
We actually just have one last question, and it's a closing tradition for the podcast. But our previous guest will ask the next guest. They don't know who it's going to be.
Right.
Just a question, and you'll answer it, and then you can leave a question for our next guest, and you don't know who they are.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
We don't even know who they are,
All right.
but they wanted to ask you, who do you want to be?
Oh. Well, fuck. Half not retarded. Really brilliant. I'm going to go with that.
Okay,
Like-
perfect.
Like, actually as smart as people think that I am. That's
bullshit.
No.
Nice try.
It's there. It's there. I'm like the dumbest smart fucking person you'll know. And so I think it would be more maybe the person who like isn't like patently retarded, like when they're not working. That's my
That
answer.
person.
That person, whoever that is.
Yes.
That's what I would strive for.
Perfect.
I'm not going with like someone with more kindness and empathy. And no,
Right.
fuck that. I want to be like someone who's not as dumb in the outside world.
Yes.
And match the professional persona.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's what we all should aspire to be, honestly.
Not fucking retarded.
Yeah, just not, just not
Ryan,
dumb.
every day.
Just every day to be a little less dumb.
Yes.
1% better.
1% at a time.
Yeah.
Because I literally said I didn't go to geography fucking school talking about a triangle.
You know?
So there you go. That sums it up.
Yes. That's great.
Yep.
Well,
So don't let the job title fool you.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on.
Totally.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
being willing
Seriously.
to come on.
Totally.
And I would
know,
love to do this again because this is
When
fun.
a man talks about my breasts, I come a calling.
Yes. We know the call for
talk
Kaitlyn
shit.
Miller.
It was like the fucking Batman symbol, except it was like my boobs in disguise.
On my way.
Exactly. So,
Fuck yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
thanks
Seriously.
for having me, guys. It was
Yeah.
fun.